And so we try to go against our feelings or preferences and kilesas and tanha, like try to resist those. From one angle, this may look like torturing oneself. Like giving oneself a hard time is a better one. Torturing, or like torment means like to give oneself a feeling of dukkha. We should use Dhutanga practices. Dhutanga. He said like we should practice the Dhutanga practice, and they're not actually something very, very strange or far away. It's like the basic practices and basic things like. And another one is like the Mula Kammatthana, the root practices, like the Upachaya has given one, which I didn't remember. Of course, the Kisalumanaka Dantatachu, hair, like hair of the head. And for example, it says like usually people just kind of embellish their hair and style their hair in a way that's supposed to fool other people into liking them. And it's part of the deceit of like making something out of one's body in order to trap somebody and to attract somebody or to trap him and to fool, trap her or fool her into liking. It's like a bait. So like just one of the things like to break the delusion about these things. It's like just kind of imagine the hair just kind of torn out and spread around. Would that be attractive? And it's the same hair. Now, why do we practice like that? In order to remove the intoxication, the feeling of being drunk with these things. Remove them and pull that out. So he says like another contemplation would be the teeth. Like you look at the teeth of like a young person and find it very beautiful, attractive, and then when she smiles and looks very, very nice, and then just think of like the same teeth like a dead person, like and this kind of not very beautiful to look at a smiling face of a dead person with teeth, and it's not attractive. And he quoted Nisan saying, which I can't translate. Teeth can also kind of bind us and make us fettered if we don't have mindfulness. So we see things in the light of kammatthana, and practice of kammatthana, objects of kammatthana. So we don't, whatever we feel like we can break our feelings of desires or likes, take that up as an object of contemplation, like where we feel like we can stop the attraction. So we see things in terms of being objects of contemplation or meditation. Teeth or skin, for example, and contemplate them.
And I was told one time on the practices was with teeth was when you speak to people, you look at their teeth. You don't actually look in their eyes. Luang Por recommend that because you never really drawn into their eyes. You're just always looking at their bones, and then the person can't actually tell. That I've tried it and I don't do it. I've only done it once.
So if we look at whatever we look at, if we look at things like fool, then we'll get fooled by it. Like if we look at these things with mindfulness, then we'll derive a lot from it. So if we look at things in a way where we don't get fooled or don't get lost and don't get infatuated and carried away, then we get a feeling of freedom from that. And otherwise, like we'd be kind of fettered and bound up by these things, even though that's the way that people usually tend to look at things in terms of kilesas, in terms of their desires. They see what they're attracted to, whereas like if one doesn't do that, like one feels free and unbound and unfettered. It's like a kamatana, if used well, is very useful and is very good, and it's like using a weapon correctly can be useful. So the Dhutanga practices are useful in, for example, like using the practice of wearing pamsakula robes, where you're not using the robes in terms of like using cloth that otherwise would be kind of causing revulsion or like feelings of being repulsed and unattractive clothing for oneself. I said like it's difficult to find real pamsakula cloth, and he says it says not difficult because like this cloth here is wrapping up something that's disgusting, which is this body, and the snot and the saliva is disgusting, because the Buddha said the body is like something particular here. What is it? Loathsome, putrid. The skin is like a plastic bag that contains disgusting things. The body is a waste bin, garbage bin. We can see like we're throwing waste products into it, which is food. So seeing these things, what kind of feelings does that bring with it? Like it brings up feelings of like reducing the sensual fevers and the desires that we have that are staining our hearts. And when the sensual desires and fevers are allayed, then we feel like the feeling of self is reduced, and yeah.
The body being a part of just that which is foul.
Yeah. Yeah, we can see the body as something foul.
Do you mind asking him about this practice of looking at teeth? Is it something suggested for, say, monks looking at women's teeth as a practice?
To like things or to be attracted to things is what we call a nivarana, a hindrance, and the hindrance to what? The hindrance to creating the feeling of dispassion or like disenchantment. So this morning, the other day, women asked about like a feeling of nibbida and viraga. So nibbida is the feeling of being distracted or enchanted from the things that are sensual desires, and this is called kama chanda, like a sensual attraction. So we get disenchanted from that. We're living together with a corpse, but we don't know the corpse. We're living together with foul things, but we don't know the foul things. And we're living together, like Luang Por Chah said, we're living together with a skeleton, and we don't know the skeleton. So like your question about looking at the teeth of women in order to practice with it, he said like we can look at our own teeth, or like and they're the same as a woman's teeth, but like maybe one should be a bit careful looking at the women's teeth in order to take that as an object. When we're able to see food as shit, then that shows that we've reached the feeling of nibbida and like the feeling of dispassion with food.
Is it okay to imagine other things with food, like body parts, just things that really, anything that can bring up disgust?
In terms of food?
Yeah, like actually looking at your bones, saying, oh, this, like trying to imagine these as body parts and blood. Because that, for me, seems to bring a lot of dispassion, but I don't know if it's too morbid.
He says, like, he doesn't know. You have to try that, whether that brings up nibbida for you.
It's very unpleasant, yeah.
If it was fun, then we'd immediately like it. You speak Thai.
Before he was talking about, like animals in the forest, smelling humans, like what reflections does he have about like the scent of humans and how we react to that?
The scent of other humans.
Yeah.
Like smells of people.
Yeah. Like in the sutta that talks about like the scent of a man, the scent of a woman, this kind of thing.
He says like, yes, that's very true. Like women, like even the smell of a woman can be attractive, and the presence of a woman has the effect that makes people fall over or crumble, or like, I don't know how you say it.
Intoxicated.
No, like just kind of dissolve, or like the strongest person is dissolved by the lalai. It like falls apart through the presence of a woman. So it's like in dogs, like if they sense the smell of like the female dog which wants to mate, basically, like then there's some hormones in the air or whatever, or it stimulates the hormones of the dog, and he just really runs after it, like automatically. And he just before mentioned like that the smell, the body smell, gets triggered by the hormonal system, which immediately makes people feel attracted. Vice versa, like and you die immediately. These are natural instincts, and they ask their toll straight away. Or they demand their toll.
Ajahn Chah, just a question about Luang Por about pretty difficult question for me, but when he's encountered bhikkhus that he's trained who have a habit of speaking a lot, what kind of, like in the wrong speech, kind of just gossip or just things about the world or interesting, things about interest or other people. And what is his effective way if the habit's so strong that it seems like it would take, it's not like eating, he said the other day, 3 months, but maybe many years. It almost seems so slow to change.
It can be changed. Like you speak nonsensical stuff, you just kind of speak less.
Just stop it.
I'll give you the example. Somebody asks you the way, where does this way go? And you tell me where it goes, and that's it. You don't have to kind of explain a lot and say that where it all passes. And that would be commentary. I would just speak the essential stuff. It goes there. That's it. So these kind of extra commentaries, they don't stop easily. So just reduce those. Say, okay, that was referring to women as actually, I think, because like there's this thing like what should we do if the women talk to us and so on, and the Buddha said like don't speak to them, or don't look at them in the first place. And one of the examples he usually gives, like if they ask you for the way, what do you say? Just it goes there. Don't have to say anything. And then so then Venerable Ananda said like, but there are occasions where we have to see women, or like when we see women, and then what do we do then? And he says like, then you don't speak to them. But if it's necessary to speak to them, what shall we do then? To have the safety of having perfect mindfulness, don't we? So the Buddha said, like, then you have to have mindfulness, and what kind of mindfulness, to what level? And Luang Por says, like, it has to be the mindfulness where you're not attracted or averse. Already the sound has got an effect. So already the sound has an effect. Just compare it, like if the sound of a male voice doesn't have any effect to us, but like the sound of a woman speaking has got a huge effect. I don't know whether Westerners are like that, but Thai people are like that, especially if women laugh or women cry. It just really affects them. So just look at the training rules, like where the Buddha says it's not only touching the body directly, but also touching objects related to the body can have an effect. This is how subtle this whole thing is. I said, like, the where to train is like with the eye, ear, nose, body, sense of touch, and the mind. Like, this is the place to train and to study. And if the eye, ear, nose, and all these sense spaces are dominated or possessed with feelings of likes and dislikes, the whole thing doesn't work. It's distorted, and you can't. So we have to, we're a slave. We become slave of our likes and dislikes. So that's why we have to train to be neutral towards likes and dislikes. So if we study eye, ear, nose. So the general advice would be like not to have neither feelings of liking or not disliking when one practices metta, not to have any kind of feeling of liking or not liking. If we practice sila to the full extent, then that entails having metta already.
If we practice sila to the full extent,
then
metta will automatically arise.
Yeah, it involves having metta, or it brings about like having metta. Like one of the main points of the Buddha, or one of the points of the Buddha was like that having metta, or like having pitying people, or like having compassion is also a fetter. And the main principle that the Buddha had is like that beings are driven, like beings act according to the law of karma. Okay, I think I've heard that kind of teaching quite a few times. So basically, I'll have to expand a bit. Like he says, like what he now said, like if somebody doesn't believe us, we can't force him, like force that person to do that. Like, and in extension to the metta question, like you can't help somebody necessarily with whatever metta you have. Like if that person doesn't want to do it, or like you can bring that person to do something good through your own goodness. And then that's why he quoted "Karma nuna vatati loko." The world is driven by karma. Like people are the owner of their karma, and some people are not accessible. Like whatever metta you have.
เมตตาก็ต้องมีอุเบกขามันจึงจะมีส่วนสมบูรณ์ขึ้นมา
Metta has to be combined with upekha, so it becomes full. If we want something good for somebody else, then that's the mindset of tanha, and that's not it's not beneficial. So this is kind of a very complicated matter, because we always have relations to each other. So sometimes we've reached our limits in dealing with these relations. So like it's over our strengths, if we say, to like for example to spread metta or to help somebody. So we have to have our friendliness or our compassion needs to be very very broad, not specific. So that's what he means with like upekha as well. It has to be full, round. Can we have metta with our enemies and with people that we are averse to? If we get it to the point that we can say thank you to our enemies, it's good.
Yeah.
It's difficult.
It's not difficult. If we had no enemies, we wouldn't have to be careful. If we didn't have any suffering, we wouldn't see the benefits of sukha, see things in a good light, and then or find ways of seeing things in a good way. If one sees things in a good way, in this positive way, then there's always things to gain and no loss.
Practiced a little bit with the mantra, the Buddha, but I never had a teacher who's taught using the mantra, like what to do with it. So I do it for a little bit, and then it becomes difficult, or I forget. A bit later I remember it, and is the point just to always have Buddha going at all times? I don't know.
Okay, so like the Bodhidharma word we can use all the time, but like the important thing is like to take it as a reminder of being the one who knows and the one who Buddha means the one who knows, like the one who's awakened who knows, and to have that as a reminder of the quality of awakening and mindfulness, and once one is in that state of knowing and awakening, one doesn't need the bodhidharma, then one just that's when he moved his hands up, you just use the mind and look at the mind, look at what it does, like how it reacts. But like until you're at that state of seeing the mind, you have to remind yourself with using that word Buddho, and it also means to take you back to the present moment. So you keep repeating it, but you fill it with meaning of reminding yourself of being aware and like the Buddha. And then it's like a child that learns to walk first, take his hand and pull it up a bit, and once it stands and you can kind of let go of it a bit, or like you pull the hand a bit, then it starts walking, and once it walks freely. It's an Abhayagiri owl.
Has Luang Por ever heard of Ajahn Lee's technique of with the breathing, the breath, the whole body breathing? Yeah. Something he's ever, or something that's recommended, or something that's kind of, because I've often experimented with that, because it's really difficult to follow the breath with the nose for me. It just kind of gets very boring.
And what does Luang Por Liem say?
He actually uses the breath in a much broader way with the energy in the body. So more of a breath energy or wind energy throughout the whole body. So you kind of can start with that specific, but then you expand
for
to the whole body, like as if the whole body is breathing, and the molecules and the energy is part of the movement, as is an example of how he looks.
Yeah, so samadhi arises from sati, and it just kind of evolves from that, say when one watches the breath, it's mindfulness and it's samadhi, and it's difficult to get the point.
The two help each other along, right?
Yeah.
Is that
Yeah.
kind of
It's
basically?
It's the same stick, like people say.
Yeah.
You can't separate it. It's one stick.
So yeah, like to become a grown-up comes from becoming a child, being a child. So this has got a relation.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't have to have much of a technique. He says just watch the breath coming in and out, and be mindful of the Dhamma aramanas that arise. Where do the Dhamma aramanas arise? They arise whenever there is contact with the eye, ear, nose, body, tongue, and mind. And they take the shape of liking things or disliking things. Or isn't that the case? Just watch the process of somebody showing you a dish, and you immediately think, oh, that's something I want to eat immediately as soon as you see the dish. That's why the Buddha taught the Apanaka Patipata, the Dhammas that are never wrong, the practices that are never wrong. He's really got you on that one.
He taught you mean the Dhutangas?
The Apanaka Patipata, the practices that are never wrong. You know the first one?
I don't.
Pochanem Adanyata.
What's that?
Moderation in eating.
Oh, right.
He doesn't want you to talk about Vanapanasati. He wants Where should one practice mindfulness? At what time should one practice mindfulness? Sati, one should practice whenever one is still alive. And that's not quite right. I have to correct, the pun was that it's actually a story he told before, the Samanera being asked in the Nakam questions, when should one apply mindfulness? And the word sati in Thai is actually the same as being conscious, or when is one conscious, basically. And the Samanera, Kit Samanera, just wrote when, as long as one is alive, one is conscious, and that they said that was the wrong answer. When the consciousness or sati awareness should be whenever the eye sees something, the ear hears something, the nose smells something, and so on. What is it that arises when the eye sees something, ear hears something, and so on? It's dukkha arising, and then so that's arising at the sense basis. It's something that we haven't seen yet, where dukkha arises. It's at the senses, through the senses, and that we don't. Things that we also don't know is that the things that we like are also suffering. It's dangerous because we don't see the disadvantages of it. But if we like something, we don't see the disadvantages of it. That's the danger of it.
Until we're separated from.
So the danger comes when we suddenly have to say we don't like it anymore. My job.
What's that?
Hungry. Ugly.
Oh, ugly.
Again asked what about this meditation technique, and he said it's just a skillful means not to have us think in terms of past and future, not to have us worry about events of past and future. That's why one watches the breath. Normally people just kind of think about past and future events. Never in the present moment.
Is there a recommendation more for people who are more focused on the future than the past? Is there any kind of difference, or is it just the same kind of?
So one of the things is just stay in the present. That's the best advice. But the future is something that we extrapolate, that we project in and whatever. However, we're never there. It's always in front of us. Just to reflect like that. It's not sure, and it's always in front of us. Once you plan something and you're getting there, there's always future ahead again. So better stay in the present. To be awake. Being awake, being the one who knows this is all about being in the present. he said like anapanasati is just the beginning point, and to look at the breath and you follow it, like you can follow it the whole way or not, like but it's actually like what one needs to do is like to look at the dhammas arising in the mind, so the four foundations of mindfulness come round, or like become fulfilled. Like it's not only about the breath, or it's not the breath. It's just a means to an end, which is like to make the four foundations of mindfulness become accomplished in one's practice, which means like to have sati. Like it's the basis of satipatthana, and the basis to start with is the breath. So you make that into watching the Dhamma Ramana as like the objects of the mind, being mindful of the objects of the mind. And I kind of said, no, well, don't we start with the breath? He says, yes, but the important thing is the objects of the mind. And he said like whatever technique.
But you develop concentration to be able to look at these dhammas, right?
Yeah, sati or samadhi, yes. He uses those equivalent.
Really?
Yeah, very much. Many times he uses those equivalent.
That's a good teaching.